All right.
Oh my God, that's it. We're live. Okay.
Yep.
So you have a LinkedIn anecdote to open with.
Yeah. Because what I hate about LinkedIn is that people, I don't know, it's like an unwritten rule probably is that when they change jobs like switch jobs, like they it seems like what you have to do is to thank everyone that was like publicly on LinkedIn in your previous job. Like I'm now ready for this I'm now excited for this
But you have to
new.
do that. I didn't know you had to do that.
Apparently, I know like
Okay.
this people do that. Like this, it's not just like people from Europe, but like all over the place. Like
You're like moving in the politest circles in the world, just like people who thank their old jobs on LinkedIn for a great experience. That's so polite.
yeah, like thank you for the amazing 5 years that I was able to spend at this company. I would like to thank John, Jack, and Marilyn. I don't know for the tremendous support and being amazing colleagues. And hopefully that I can see you again in the near future. You know, something along those lines. You know, it is.
I am doing that, but I'm going to do that for all of the old jobs that I've had, like all in one go. So that if anyone looks
Oh,
at
you're
my
gonna
LinkedIn
well.
feed, it's just going to be like Justine Taylor thanked this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this company that doesn't actually have a profile, but I've just like thanked everyone by name. Like
Uh huh.
that is so intense.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
It's
great. That's so nice. I love it when people are
oh,
grateful.
don't get me wrong. It is nice. It is a nice thing to do. But you can just taste the that's not authentic. That's like fake. Like it's
Mm.
like a I have to do this. So like I'll just thank this company and then these people and then. But it's almost like people are using the same template. Like
Is it to
mm,
prove that you didn't leave on bad terms? So it's like, I left this company with love. I lovingly moved on.
yeah, I think well certainly like I think most of the time you should not leave a workplace on bad terms. At least
No, but it
no,
happens.
yeah,
Humans are just like insecure and angry at the best of times. And like when
yeah,
you're leaving, like, and we're not really taught how to say goodbye. So often, even if there isn't a problem, like if you're leaving, there'll suddenly be like a, I think it's separation anxiety. Like I see people leaving and like it hurts because it's the end and the future's scary. And I mean,
hmm
so my LinkedIn by contrast, none of that stuff. Like none of anything. And then I was going out with this guy, and one of my exes stalked him and all of the other guys that I'd gone out with since him. And because LinkedIn says who views your profile,
oh yeah, it does.
everybody knew that this dude that I'd gone out with when I was like 20
Huh.
had been on all the profiles, and I was getting these messages like, Justine, this guy, and I'm not going to say his name, this guy was like looking at my profile. He's done it 3 times this week. Like, and I know that you know him because I checked your Facebook friends, and what's he doing? And the guy that I was going out with was scared because it's intimidating when someone like looks on your LinkedIn profile every day for
All
a
right.
week or 2 weeks or something, and they don't think he knew.
Mm-hmm. I'm so conscious of that feature of LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
that like it tells people who has viewed your profile.
Yeah.
So like from time to time, like I Google people that I'm at a panel with, or I came across at the UN, or like in airplane or whatever, and like you Google it, and then like probably the first hit on Google is probably the LinkedIn profile.
And then you accidentally click it.
I'm not gonna click it
I know.
because it shows up to their feed. You know, like all right, this person or this little upstart was looking at your LinkedIn profile.
Why don't you just Google it in incognito?
Say, well, like I don't think like Googling incognito is a problem. The problem is like when you're
I know, but you wouldn't
logged
be
into
logged in,
LinkedIn.
so they wouldn't know. So if you're Googling on incognito, it wouldn't have your login cookies. So you could open a LinkedIn page and you wouldn't see as much information, that you wouldn't, at least it wouldn't be like Ghazali's been looking at your page. you
Even
know?
stalking you, like it's legit like a stalker feature of LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Um,
but we all stalk. Humans stalk. That's what we do.
who do you stalk? Like,
Um, hmm. People who have interviewed me for job interviews are
ah,
like, especially if I don't think they liked me, I'll like go and be like, what's their deal?
mhm.
And people that I like, who I'm like, have we had shared experiences? Generally, no.
Right, right. But those, okay, all right, yeah. And like the people that interviewed you, they're probably not your LinkedIn or your Facebook friends. But like for me, like stalking would probably also be like your old like kindergarten, grammar school mates,
Grammar
high
school,
school maybe, high school maybe. You know
yeah.
they just suddenly realize, oh yeah, that was his name or that was her name, and you
I
just
get
like Google it.
I get this really happy feeling when there's someone that I was close to historically, like at school or at university or something, and I like stalk them and we haven't been in touch and they have this really good life. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I was part of that person becoming who they are and they're so happy now. That feels so good. I don't I didn't get like online, like you know how you like stalk someone and then you get envy about their lives. I didn't
Mm.
get that until like COVID-19 stopped me from going out and doing all the things I want to do. And so
Okay.
now when someone has like, and I'm only getting it for gardening, like when people post like I've grown 6 cabbages and I'm like looking at my little cabbage seedlings and they're just like poking up. And now for the first time ever I have FOMO and I understand why everyone was so sad about other people's good lives
Hmm.
because I'm sad about other people's good veg.
I
Such a nerd.
did you talk to Tomo, by the way? Because once
Um,
you sent me a photo, like I know that he was doing his own gardening thing as well.
I commented on his Facebook status and
Yeah.
sent him a good video to watch. I just noticed, like, when I like shut my eyes, you can see where I tried to put on makeup before this interview, and then I was like, "No, I hate it," and like rubbed it all off, but
Okay.
it's like still there. Oh my god! Did Tomo just? What is this?
Tomo just commented.
Oh, he's such a great dude.
It's
Wow,
like
and he's cooking. So wholesome. Most wholesome lockdown. Gardens, food, yum. Wait,
you
that means that people are actually commenting and
people are
watching.
commenting, yeah, and
Do
watching.
you know how
Yeah.
many people are watching? Can you
Um,
tell?
I won't tell you.
Okay, I hope it's just Tomo actually, because otherwise other people are just watching this. This really makes me think of those American podcasts where it's just like two comedians or two celebrities just like talking their really boring stuff, and then
Hmm.
like I'll listen to that for days on end, and now I'm doing it. Tomo's talking us. So ironically, before we started recording, you were saying some pretty interesting and relevant stuff about why Tea Time, your little project, came about. Not a little project, that sounded so patronizing. That is not what I meant.
Oh, it was a little project. It was like an air
Okay, yeah,
balloon,
like a little fun.
like a weather balloon. See where people are.
A small select online soiree of like how COVID-19 was impacting like Indigenous peoples.
Hmm.
And um I feel like that would be like a really nice, relevant thing for you to talk about now that we're actually live.
Oh, like
Like you could
well,
maybe you've explained it on your other ones of these, in which case it'd be really boring for you to re-explain it. But do you have like a TLDR
ah,
version?
oh, well, like so the whole concept of the podcast, like I'll go into tea time in a bit, is um like long form conversations because I just figured that people, not everyone is comfortable like speaking on cue. like talking about relevant stuff on Q, like me myself included. Q&As they're fine, but when it comes to like press conferences, I suck at them, like 100%. I tanked at one press conference, at least in my view, during COP 25, so last December in Madrid. So that's when I figure like, all right, just like that is one like self-awareness. Well, not that it hasn't kicked in yet, but I became very self-aware of like what am I good at, what I'm not good at, or what should I work on. So in terms of like, getting messages out there, I just started like developing this podcast thing, and I also believe I love listening to long conversations that can go anywhere, in a way that it can, well, like I said before, like if you like Justine, if you want to talk about aliens or like who killed JFK or like stuff like that, like fine.
Why did you
cool.
immediately go for conspiracies? Like, is that what an
No.
conversation is?
Or sorry, or something along the lines of you talk about food, or you want to talk about gardening, or like I'm very interested in like why people do what they do, and that yeah, you can get to why people do what they do by just asking them point blank. It is about having a conversation, it's almost like meeting someone at the bar. You meet someone, you talk a little bit, and then you find out interesting stuff, or meeting some. Yeah, I think the bar would be the best, or like a couch or fireside chat, stuff like that. Like whatever comes up, comes up. I think that is something that is very, very, very interesting. And like,
should we be drunk? Would this be better if we were drunk? The activation would definitely be quicker if it was because at a bar, like I think that you've been drinking and like chatting to loads of people, so like your ego is like right there on the surface, so it's so much easier to get to like the nuts and bolts of
it does,
like,
but like
I feel like we've got walls up.
Well, depends on what kind of people you talk to. Like beforehand, you don't know what kind of people, like if they're drunk, you don't know what, or when they become drunk, right? Like when you meet them at the bar, you don't know what you're into, as in like what you're getting yourself into.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know, like we could try it though at some point, like COP 26, if it happens in Glasgow. Probably it's early 2021, right? Do like a bar feature podcast. So do that at the bar, like round table, with what I eat over there in Scotland. Can't remember. But
haggis.
oh no, I'm not gonna eat a haggis. No way.
Don't be so rude. And they have vegetarian haggis if you're like scared.
How do you make vegetarian haggis?
It's like a nut roast in a skin.
It's still in the skin or not in the skin?
Well, it's like a vegetarian skin, but it's amazing. Like, do not knock haggis. Also, you can get deep fried haggis, like you can get deep fried Mars bar. They're both delicious.
Sure, yeah, but like, what's a vegetarian skin? As in like skin of a
probably
eggplant?
Synthetic. No. So vegetarian haggis is almost believably like haggis. Like, it's great.
Okay.
It's so good. It is so great. Glasgow is going to be amazing. I could probably cycle there from London. We can hang out. Hill Halls. That's like not even my idea. That's like someone else from my organization was like, we should cycle to Glasgow. That is the right thing to do. So
the whole sustainable idea of cycling to Glasgow.
I mean, like the only other COP I've been to, I went by bus because I was so adamant not to fly. Like
the Katowice one?
Yeah, this is a fun bus ride. I got like maybe the scariest like public transport sexual harassment I've ever experienced happened on the way there. It was the worst.
How do you like? So you were in Geneva back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
So you
like what?
you go to like Germany, you change in Germany, and then yeah.
Okay, it's like Flixbus or like some kind of an international line.
Oh yeah, Flixbus.
Flixbus.
The
Okay,
best.
are they? I use them sometimes though.
The best, but also the worst. I mean, like they're offering a ridiculously cheap service. It's
Yeah,
pretty good. One
Wi-Fi
time I
sucks
offered
though most of the time.
well, they're always late. But once I got from Geneva to Torino for like €9.
Oh,
It's
well,
good.
that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, did you have to like leave like incredibly late or incredibly early?
I left Geneva at 7 and I got to Turin at like midnight, 11.
Okay.
It was a good ride. It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I was looking at Flixbus to get to Katowice, um, but I had to like change 5 times
Mm-hmm.
because that was
I think
yeah,
smaller bags is the way forward. Like with that one, I was taking loads of Quaker United Nations Office publications. So I had some serious baggage. And I think it was 3 changes. I think I changed in Vienna. Was that then? Yeah, and there was just like so many bags to lug around. But if you just have your backpack on, it's fine.
yeah. Well, I didn't have a backpack. I had like a legit huge, no, not huge, but I had like a suitcase with me.
To
Um,
fit all those suits in.
I only bring in like well, Katowice 2 weeks. I brought not two suits. Yeah.
Do you know that because I first met you there, I really thought that you wore suits, like that you were like a suit wearer. And then the next time I saw you, you was in Bonn and you were like wearing a Hawaiian shirt. And I was like, whoa, who's this guy?
Yeah. That was
I like, didn't realize you had casual mode.
100%. Like I'm
I'm really seeing that now.
yeah, I'm 100% comfortable like switching from bula shirts, so that's like what you call the Hawaii shirts, aloha shirts, and from Fiji we call them bula shirts.
Okay.
So I wear them as much as I would like to wear suits, like and yeah, yeah. That was interesting. Like when I think it was in Bonn, like after Katowice, that's the UNFCCC Secretariat. They did not recognize me. Like I almost have like reintroduced myself.
You did look like there was just such a difference. I don't know.
Oh, and I shaved my head back then in Bonn. I went bald.
Okay.
So that's like a day and a night difference between so not just the attire, but also like the whatever it's what they call on top of my head.
Like I don't know what word you're looking for, but I know what you mean.
It's not hair though, because like it is what
Like
I
a
try to,
style? I don't know.
it is yeah, I don't know, it's
That's a fun little comment we got there.
oh yeah.
Good friend of yours?
No, I don't know the person, but thank you so much. This is what hold on. Like let's keep this one on for a while. I absolutely oh no so hold on, like first, what do you think about this?
About what, this comment?
Yeah, about this comment.
Oh, I like have a really great story. I don't know if I should tell it though. So it's like UN related. There's like an open call for like joining a Zoom meeting to like comment on something that Special Rapporteur was doing. And so like we all turn up and we're like super sincere with what we're saying and we're being so serious. And then like, I'm really not sure if any of this is appropriate. So you know like how Zoom, the security isn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad calls these people like zooming wankers, and like we're in like the wider Quaker community, and like so Quakers have this like silent meeting for worship where they all sit totally quietly, and they'll like do this over Zoom so that the community is like still there.
Mm-hmm.
But every so often you get like these zooming wanker guys who are people who can crash into Zoom calls, and then they'll just like masturbate furiously and like play really, really loud porn. And like Quakers are often like elderly, sincere, and they'll be sat in silence for like an hour, and then the silence is broken with like, Anyway, this happened at like one of the special rapporteur UN meetings. Like someone was talking, and then we hear this guy with a London accent. Like legit, I think that this was a Feltham accent, so like near where I'm living. And he goes,
Mm-hmm.
"Sorry, mate, I can't hear you. I can't hear you." And like, I'm trying not to say the name of the rapporteur because I don't know if I should like be sharing this. And then the rapporteur's like, "Oh, I can hear you. It's fine. You just carry on." And then the guy who says, "Sorry, mate, I can't hear you," starts like not swearing, but like saying kind of obscene things that aren't swear words. And then there's like 10 people, and they're all like sharing porn and like flashing up really like brutally disgusting images, I think. And then I'm like trying to decide whether I'm going to stay in this meeting and like wait it out or not.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of these people like defenders, and this is their opportunity to like connect with this. I think like the UN is really revered by some people,
Yeah.
and then that opportunity to like access it in like a horizontal way is appropriated by these zooming wankers. And so like when I see this like little troll here, I just like, I mean, like it's funny, it's also sad, but
It is.
but it just like makes me think of just like these guys that just turned up in our meeting having a wank. And yeah, that's my relevant anecdote. I'm really glad that I had that anecdote to share.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. You know, it's so funny that I don't know if this guy is legit, if it's like an actual person, because a lot of people like the trolls, like they use different names to do stuff like this. But like,
It's just not a very good troll.
no, like
I
if you
don't
want
know.
to
Tell
troll,
me
like,
I'm fat, that would hurt me. Like,
yeah, like try to be more specific and like try to be more on topic, you know. And
what do you think, Rod? Tell me that I don't know how to use LinkedIn. Like, that'll cut me deep.
yeah. No, like this is like so easy. It's to yeah, to put out on. And the thing is, like, this is actually the first time I've been trolled, actually.
I think this might have been the first time that I've been trolled by someone I don't already know.
Mm.
Like I've like broken up with someone before because it just like really wasn't working out, and then like the next morning, like it was long distance. We like were only calling each other in the middle of the night. Like it was really bad. And like the next morning, I opened, and like the breakup was so amicable, but then he'd gone out and gotten drunk. And I wake up in the morning, and there's just like these like horrible things in my inbox, like, "You're gonna get pregnant with a guy that you don't even love, and you're gonna be stuck with this baby you don't want for the rest of your miserable life." And as a result, I've still not had kids.
Unfortunately, I don't have an anecdote like that.
That's really good. I'm really glad.
But in terms of trolls, no, not really. Well, I've been called many things by a lot of people.
There's a relevant comment in the live comment section related to that.
You want me to put this one in as well?
I mean, like, it's there.
Yeah.
From Tomo the Legend. Has anyone called you G-Dog, Ghazali? Because I feel like this was what you were about to say.
No, like, why would everyone call me? I don't know, like,
people call me J-Dog a lot.
J-Dog?
That's also what my little brother calls his girlfriend, whose name also begins with J. So that's confusing. It's just like that nickname's too catch-all.
So when he yells out G-Dog, like, the both of you turn around and respond?
Not when my brother does it, because I know who he is referring to.
Okay.
I know who he
Okay.
has done this for, but
Yeah.
like my mates, just J Dog,
J
just right
Dog.
up there. Yeah,
Any other
maybe don't do it. It feels a bit weird. It's
J
definitely
Dog?
like cultural appropriation too. Like,
Did you have any other nicknames that people use when they to call you or?
yeah, loads, but I don't want to have them on this
Okay,
podcast.
understandable.
For some reason, I don't know. Like, it's really personal. I didn't know I was gonna find that personal. It's more personal than my middle names, and my middle names are real. Do you have any middle names? I'm not going to tell you yours, so don't. I mean, I'm not going to tell you mine, so don't tell me yours if you have them and you and you don't want a little bit of like tit for tat. 'Cause I'm not going to tell you.
I do have a middle name. Well, Ghazali is my middle name.
That's wild. What's your
Yeah,
other name?
not gonna tell you because you told me like I'm not gonna tell you. But in terms of nicknames, though, trying to yes. At the UN also, I was once called like because people were like in the beginning like they were had difficulties calling like like what my name was, so they either um made it either G or MG, like MG.
Mm-hmm.
MG because it's like Maluku Ghazali, so like they knew that I was from Maluku, but they didn't know my name, so like MG or G. And then I remember that I was like early 2000s. There was an interview at the UN radio in Geneva,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like for the fun of it, I just joined them and just sat in the back and just listened in. It was like Grand Chief Little Child, Joshua Cooper, like a lot of people, and I was just like the kid in the back of the room that was just listening. And after the meeting, after the radio show, they walked out, and I wanted to go to the probably the best kept secret at Palais des Nations, the Safi store
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that not a
I know
lot of
that it
people know
was
about.
not very well kept for a while, and then they had to make it that you could only get in it with a proper badge because too
Oh
many people
yeah.
were taking selfies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think now you have to only get in with a proper badge. Because last
Yeah.
time,
I had the right
oh,
badge last time, the time before the last time I was at the UN. And then the most recent time that I was there, I had just like the visitor badge. I was like, I'm one of the normal people now and I can't go where I want to go.
yeah. All right. So before we go to Safi, like to finish that story, so I was walking away in the opposite direction, and they called me, G, and then Brantley Chief Little Childs, and he's like right now like one of the veterans in his movement.
Mm.
He called me G Spot. Yeah. So he tried to like call me over, like, hey G, G Spot, like, and everybody was laughing, of course, and I was laughing as well. But like to hear somebody that is a veteran, that a lot of people know, everybody knows, call you G Spot is that's like I don't think he remembers that because it was a very long time ago. But I still remember that he called me G Spot. He calls me by my normal name though, luckily. Um, but oh yeah, well yeah, Safi is I love the supermarket, and while it was still a bit like open to general people, public, and not like you had to use the because yeah, like I don't know what it was though, but it was fun to like to discover something like Safi at the UN. They don't have that in New York though. They don't have like a full on
I've never been to
supermarket.
New York, but I've heard it's a really different vibe.
Oh, 100%.
Like Geneva is kind of jokes. Like when you like the main eating area is in the basement, and you go past all these printers that are like wrapped up in cling film. It's like,
Yeah.
what is going on with this place? It's so funny. Like, yeah, it's just cute. It just shows that like this might be the place where the people who are most power hungry all go to like express their power at each other. And here we are just like clowning around like Instagram pages for free food at the UN and stuff. Like, it's just so like it just shows that humans are literally the same wherever you go. Just like the same thing.
The cafeteria in Geneva is it's 10 times better than in New York.
Really?
Like, yeah.
I guess the Swiss are quite good at food.
Yeah. Well, there's because because I particularly like the barbecue, not the grill area, you know, the grill side of the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you probably go to the salad bar probably. And
shut up, but yeah. It's not like, so I really try to choose the food that I feel has the least climate impact. Which sounds really pretentious, but like just to fill in your list, like your 2 listeners or however many there are on like what I do, like I was, when I was at the UN, I was like paid to talk about climate change, and then now I work with like environmental defenders. So when I'm trying to use my wages to buy food, I try and have like the lowest climate impact possible. That is often like easiest to pick the vegan food. So I was always trying to like go for the low impact food. I love how like, because people hate vegans so much, I don't feel like I can just like be like, oh, I was just looking for the vegan food. Like I never hear vegans be preachy, but I hear a lot of people like complaining about how vegans are preachy. So yeah, but yeah, so like that was why I was on the salad bars, because like Geneva, especially, like the tofu, the lettuce, the sunflower seeds, like all local, all like sometimes even grown in the city of Geneva itself. You know, like it's good, easy going.
Oh, it's really good. It is really good, the salad bar, and compared to the one in New York, it is like a huge difference. And yeah, New York is like small. Like they have that like smaller cafeterias. They used to have a big one, not as good as Geneva though, but yeah, it is. I don't know, like, and also like the funny thing about Geneva is like if you were having lunch at the cafeteria and you were looking outside and suddenly a peacock walks by, the what do you call it? Palais peacock.
Do people in New York like hang out in the way that people in Geneva hang out? Like I really feel like in Geneva we talk about corridor conversations a lot, and they're so easy to have. Often because the person in like that room has overrun by so long that you're just like stood outside just chatting to like you have like these really nice like flat chats with like diplomats and stuff, maybe from countries that you wouldn't necessarily agree with on the floor. Is that also possible in New York, or is it more segregated?
Oh no, it's possible, but also more segregated. We have like different, like there's one delegate lounge, like in Geneva, you have the big, in the not an E building, but like the General Assembly building, you have that delegates cafeteria, right? So there's something like that as well in New York. So a lot of conversations are happening down up there as well. And then there's this big lounge in New York that a lot of diplomats and delegates use to go act in actual bilaterals. Other than that, like they try to. I've had some conversations like hang outside, like we talk about stalking reps from missions outside of a meeting room, and then you grab a hold of them, try to get them a cup of coffee.
But then there's like, what I'm also comparing this to in my head is like the cops. So like in Katowice, especially, like maybe in Glasgow this will be different, but like in Katowice, there was one place to hang out, the Christmas market. So like
Yes. Yeah.
so like in the conference, sure, like there was an attempt at segregation and it was semi-successful. But then afterwards, like you go into Katowice and it's like, here's the coal mining museum, here's the Christmas market, here's like the one bar where like there's gonna be a party at some point. And so you just like go along to the Christmas market and everyone was hanging out at the one mulled wine stall, just like
Oh, I totally forgot about the Christmas market. It was
oh my goodness, I will never forget. So gorgeous.
the only things that I saw in Katowice were like obviously the cop UFO, the big one, the big thing.
Yeah.
And then like if when you walk from cop to the Christmas market, you pass that, like right behind that building is the Christmas market. It's like a restaurant. You have to go upstairs to, it's a pretty good restaurant. Can't remember the name though. So those are the only three places that I went to in Katowice,
Yeah.
apart from hotels and everything else.
So also I really loved Katowice. Like I think it's a really, really cool town. But that doesn't negate the fact that there really wasn't a lot to do, which meant that you could like quite often just end up chatting to the person that you had intended to chat to. And that was really nice. But I think so in Bonn for like, yeah, when I went there in the spring and saw you again, like that was harder again because actually Bonn is pretty well set up for like UN stuff and yeah. Because it's a permanent place. So people like diplomats and people from the missions and stuff can get away from us easier.
Oh, easier. Yeah. Like you won't get them at the big cafeteria downstairs in Bonn. Like, no way. Either they have lunch at the was the Marriott Hotel, like the big hotel next to the Bonn venue.
Yeah.
Or like there's some other places that you go. There's this venue, the hotel, the Maritime Hotel, that used to be the venue for the climate change negotiations, like a couple of kilometers or miles next door. Yeah, but Katowice was there's only two things you could do if you wanted to get food. Like, well, no, three things by the way. Either you went to that food court. Remember that one?
Wait, the one that was like literally just like, this is just food, put away your laptop, that place.
Yeah, well, it is in that big stadium. Right, they use the big
no, that one. Oh, that was so bananas. That was incredible. Like you just get in and then eat so much food.
There was so much food. Wasn't that?
Like, so it was a climate conference and I've already had my little like low carbon footprint food is good. But then on the opening night, they basically were just like, we're going to serve nothing but sausages.
Yeah.
Welcome to Poland.
Sausages.
Do you want a sausage? That's all we've got. We've got like sausages and we've got dancers and beer.
Sausages, dances, beer, and cabbage. They love their cabbage.
Oh, I love their cabbage. Great. Fermented, amazing. Yeah. So good. Happy food.
Yeah, but it is only what was I gonna say? Yeah, like one day of cabbage is fine, but like if you have like 2 weeks of cabbage,
still fine. Love it. I'm really committed.
Really?
Committed to the cabbage. It's just like a vegetable. Vegetables are beautiful, and it's fermented. And like at this end of Europe, we don't have a culture of fermented food, so like that particular very important food group is missing. And then when you have it, your body's like, thank you. This is great. I've actually tried to make some sauerkraut really recently and I need to check on it, but I have looked it up and no one has ever died from eating sauerkraut. So whatever goes wrong, I'm fine. I'm really conscious that this isn't a very relatable conversation. We're talking about the location of a food court at a conference, like at one conference in a venue that only existed for this conference. Like,
built on top of a former coal mine.
I know, where
That
they had a
was
shrine to coal. It's like,
yeah.
welcome to this climate conference about how we're going to move forward without things like coal and fossil fuels in the future. By the way, here is our like coal shrine in the middle of the venue.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, they will also like give you like free tours if you wanted to, like into the coal mine. There was like a shaft that went down.
oh my god, I wish I'd gone. Also, like heritage, kind of important. So it's fine to like have a tour of a coal mine to understand
Mm-hmm.
like how we got to this point. But it's more like the coal worship, like the bars of soap that were actually just lumps of coal that they were
Right.
selling.
Yeah.
So weird. Such like strange behavior. Like, we want to host this conference so that we can subliminally advertise you the thing that you're trying to stop us from doing.
Yeah. Well, we've seen that at previous conferences, previous COPs, and
Yeah, tell me.
well, let's see. Before Katowice was what Bonn, right? It's
Ooh.
COP 20. Yeah, COP 23 was Bonn.
Mm-hmm.
22 Marrakesh. So like Bonn, which was fine, but then again, like you had these formal like coal mines in that region. So that was disturbing to a lot of people. Before that,
Yeah, some of my friends have been protesting coal in Germany and just like had their knees and ankles broken by the police. Like, really, really weird, uncomfortable, like Germany being so forward and progressive on some stuff, and then also being like, but if you don't like how like the bits that aren't progressive, if you think we're not progressive enough, we're going to stop you from ever walking again. Like, it just doesn't like it doesn't go.
right.
But I think that was like Ende Gelände in 20, I want to say 2014, 2015, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. I tried to like protest a coal mine and like were brutally beaten up. Like, I think the UK's only just maybe in the past 2 or 3 years gotten that violent in terms of the way they treat environmental protesters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, Spartan Moss in like 2014, they were beating people up. Pretty bad.
What was that? 2014?
So in the UK, like so basically like some of the non-executive directors of fracking companies sit on the UK government cabinet. So they're like in the diplomatic system, which I mean, democratic system, which they shouldn't be. That's like a conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, like, one of these companies started setting up a fracking pad in a place called Barton Moss, which is in the northwest of the UK. But when local people came out and said that they didn't want it, the government sent the anti-terrorist police, which is I think those police have more powers, so they can be more violent with more impunity. And basically, if you look at the footage, like, all of what I'm saying now is verified, and like really well documented. And like, I'm researching into it a little bit into the stuff that's like less well documented in order to get it better documented, so that we can have this conversation about the even worse stuff that I can't tell you about until I can prove it. But basically, they would just beat people up. Like, I was interviewing a solicitor recently who put in a complaint to the UN actually because he watched the police try and drown a woman, and then they just like held her, like there was a bog and they like held her face into the bog until she started convulsing. And then like these protests were very like, these protesters, peaceful protest, really calm, really like really good people, really good activists for like talking about the planet and why fracking is really bad. And the police were trying to discredit those, like, their advocacy, and basically trying to say like, oh, these people are just smelly and they're violent. And so what would happen is the police would just go and just like smash the shit out of the people, and then put like, and like allow the media to have images of these like broken, beaten up men and women like all over the media, because the assumption is like if these people are getting beaten up by the police, they must have done something wrong. And we're really lucky that we have footage of how like the activists will just be like slowly walking in front of the fracking vehicles to try and stop those things getting on site, and then just like footage of the police just like coming in and immediately trying to harm people. So the proof is there, like really obviously there. But yeah, like I can't believe it. As I tell people what I'm learning as I go, I think people find it hard to believe, because we're allegedly like this transparent democracy, but because rich people are sitting on the government, they're controlling like what we do with our money. Like fracking is so inefficient that actually like taxpayers have to subsidize it massively. Like it's really like it's not going to make the country any money. It's not going to produce enough energy for us. Actually, like it's so inefficient as an energy source that I think all of the stuff that comes out of the hole is being turned into plastic, which we also don't need, because we're like now a culture of reducing the amount of plastic we're using, not using more plastic. And then like there's the concerned citizens that like turn up, and they're often local to those areas, are just being treated like pariahs, and they're being really harmed and like also permanently damaged. Like one of the women that I spoke to, like the police burst open her eardrums, damaged her chest cavity, like damaged both of her wrists, like she can't walk properly. They did something else, broke her collarbone or something, like, or broke the tendons in her collarbone, and that was like in one incident. And then like after they did that to her, they threatened to take her children away from her.
What?
Like, wow. Yeah, it's really like beyond what's reasonable, or like beyond what the outside world sees the UK doing. So like, and these are like the findings that I can verify. So like this was footage that like has been captured from multiple sources. Like the BBC even has footage of like the whole thing, from the fact that she was just like walking along, to like the way that a policeman like pushed her, like grabbed her by the boob and like pushed her to the floor. And yeah, so like this stuff I can like verify. There's other stuff that I haven't found the footage for, and sometimes it's worse, like a lot worse than like what I can describe to you now. And also like the people that it's happened to, they also don't want to share it. But yeah,
no, of course. Yeah.
So it's weird.
I'm interested to know, to like, what do you first of all, it's very good that you try to like investigate what's going on. So what is then what you do with that information? Do you go to the UN or?
Yeah, so there are some really, really brilliant UK-based organisations. Like we're working with an organisation called Netpol, and they've been like documenting and observing and putting pressure on the government for about 10 years. And they do a lot of like freedom of information stuff. And then there are academics who have also done a lot of intelligence gathering. So there's like a collective, I think, Gilmore, Jackson, Monk, joined by Damien Short, and they produced a report called Keep Moving, which is about the brutality in Baltimore I just told you about. So there's loads of documentation, there's loads of UK-based work, and the reason why we're keeping this UN connection going is because we don't want to do a shit copy of the good work that's already happening. So we're going to try and get communications from like relevant parts of the UN, like so special mechanisms like rapporteurs and committees, and because there's been so much violence against women and stripping of women. Like there was one instance where bailiffs like strapped a woman to the bodyboard when her bottom half was naked, and then they like took selfies. Like it's just such a violation on so many levels. And so we want to get comments from places in the UN where they can comment on this, like directly to the government. Also because like the rapporteur on, I think, freedom of assembly, please don't get me on that, has already communicated to the government about it. So to have these like, we've already expressed concern, like what are you going to do with this concern? So that's one part of it. And then when we talk to activists who've had these experiences, we ask them what they would like to see. And so a next stage going further, like our funding is based on the special mechanisms thing, but like I guess the next bit of funding that we'd like to get would be to actualize the things that activists have expressed to us that they see as needing to change. And it's really like doable actions and achievable actions to do with like changing policy, and like don't really want to disclose that right
No,
now.
sure, yeah,
Maybe we can
okay,
loop around it a little bit when there's some funding and some strategy and like consents worked out.
yeah,
But it's just like keep on pushing, keep on like raising it to like the top of the agenda. Like the police have put and it seems to be policy to like smear people who are doing like people who are acting out of conscience, to try and smear them as like violent and brutal and deserving the harm that they received, like to continue to question that and to prove that there's no integrity behind those claims. Like, because I think that if we don't maintain this argument and continue to produce hard evidence of this argument, then it could just be forgotten, and like people will be able to be portrayed as eco-terrorists and they will be remembered as brutes, and that needs to not happen
mm-hmm.
because they're not. These were often people who were sat totally still in the road, and then the police would come and like change their lives forever in a really bad way. You know, like for me, like running and walking and hiking is one of the most precious things in my life. And for like a lot of the women that turned up to those protests, they're never going to be able to walk the same again because of what the police did to them. And I don't know, I guess that's like in lockdown, running has been one of my escapes from like what's going on and stuff. And if someone took that away from me, like I wouldn't be okay ever. So it's really on my mind at this particular time, the damage that's been done to people's legs and backs and knees and feet and ankles. Yeah, that was a lot.
Oh, well, it's a lot, but also like very interesting actually. Can I ask you though, like how do you in terms of like I'm very interested like in the conduct of in as far as like what you can look at what you can share, of course. I'm not talking about like what people say, but like your process and your investigation process, because I think there's a lot of if you draw a parallel between what you just now described and like human rights violations for Indigenous peoples, I think there's a lot of parallels in there. And what I gather from a lot of my conversation with Indigenous peoples and with people that I work with is that they have a how should I put it? Like, what is a effective or effective way to conduct an investigation towards human rights violations?
So I think that there is, because I'm now working in the UK, but I'm part of an organization that works in a targeted way in other countries. Like in the UK, there are a lot of privileges in terms of information privilege and then internet privilege. So a lot of these violations are so verifiable because they've been live streamed, not by just one person, but by about 7 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then also these sites are accessible. So like Preston New Road, where we go to quite a lot, like you can get there from London in about 4 hours, and like you can get to London from anywhere in the world. So like anyone could go and like bear witness to this. And then in comparison, and so that means that there's just like so much information on the internet. There are like several academic reports on each of these violations. On each site, there's several academic reports, like really, really well documented. So like I do interviews. I think it's really, really important that this work is from own voices. But I think that I could produce the same quality of report with very similar integrity, even if I was just reading and scrolling YouTube and scrolling Facebook, and doing freedom of information requests. But also like Nepal has done a lot of freedom of information requests as well. Like so much groundwork was laid. But then Not One More, the organization I work for, like we held this conference in Brazil in October 2019. And our next one's in Turkey, hopefully after lockdown, in 2021. So we would be talking to Indigenous people who were trying to do documentation too. And because of like this lack of privilege, of accessibility, of like you can't get a bunch of academics just stood there taking like flawless notes in the place where violations are happening, because it's often far away from capital cities with universities. So you can't have like that third party commitment, and you can't be live streaming from like 5 different sources if you're miles and miles and miles away from any internet. And so the conduct is totally different. So we've been developing with Teller, which is an app that allows you to do the documentation offline, and it's encrypted, and it doesn't show up on your phone if the wrong person has your phone. So there's a lot more like protection in these apps than there is on Facebook live streaming. But it also means that you have to have an app and you have to be prepared. And so like and you're more likely to be on your own because of being so far away from like metropolises. And so like I think that there's a real privilege that plays out. It's amazing the number of tech people who are really committed to trying to confront that.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Winnie from the Sangware, and she was talking about an app called Timby, that they're desperate to extend their relationship with that app, because that app has allowed everyone to document properly. But again, like there's the privilege of having to have a phone with you at all times, and that phone needs to be charged. And like my phone charge only lasts half a day. So if I was like out and about and like trying to do things for longer than half a day, I would have to take several charge packs with me, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's a big difference, and like defenders have spoken about that difference. Yeah, but that gathering evidence is such a big part of proving the culpability of the asshole that you're trying to take down. Like, you know, you got to do it, and you've got to do it right, you know?
Yeah. I like the fact that you, your mindset is like you got to do it and you got to do it right. As in, it is not always, that's not always the case with people. That when it comes to like investigations, like I've one example, human rights investigation that was in Asia, that I wanted, like they came to me and they were like, there's this human rights violation going on. It's still ongoing, by the way. And so I'm not the person that would dictate to you what to do. I would say like, well, this is these are like some of the principles that I would deploy, and this is like a template, or this is the process that I would use to document. Because right now you have to document your human rights violations, and so we had several like Skype or Zoom calls, and it is frustrating for me at least, and let alone for them, that they're not able, like maybe not able, but that when I ask, like when from time to time they come back. I mean, all right, this is going on right now in terms of the human rights violations, and I tell them, all right, just what have you been able to investigate? And they tell me, well, I'm just telling you right now, so please go to the UN and go with that.
Yeah,
you know, and it is frustrating because like you hear the how powerless they feel, and like the challenges that they have to face, and the only thing that I can do is like, all right, here's a platform, here, this is what you can do, and try to guide them as good as possible. But then like, is it, yeah, maybe it's like difficult, or maybe I'm making it too difficult to file like human rights violations, as in like do the actual investigation. So like, it's the first part, like you just got to do it, and doing it right is, at least in my view, like you using that, well, the process that I've described, to them. But then doing it is something that is still very difficult for them
Yeah,
to
it's
really
hard
understand.
work. It's like definitely a colonial framework. So before me and my organization started joining in with the evidence collection in the UK, like I went for a visit just to like hang out
Hmm.
and get to know people and get to know what they'd experienced and stuff. Because I think like trust is really important, and for them to know that like I'm this flawed, insecure person who's just doing their best. Like I think that's important to like not have me on a pedestal. Oh, I hope my boss never hears me say like, yeah, I turned up to let people know I'm flawed. Um, but like a thing that they said to me that really, really touched me, and I really saw it play out in some of the interviews, was this evidence gathering process is a middle class thing, and a lot of the activists are working class, and the way that we want them to like synthesize information and remember the dates and like describe it in a certain way, like that is only for people who have had a certain level of education. And you've had like legal training, right?
Hmm.
And the UN is like definitely a very legal like body. And so we're asking people to get this legally admissible stuff, and it's another language. You know, it's like asking people to learn a third language, and you know how hard that is, says
Hmm.
the girl who sucks at languages. Like it's difficult. It's difficult and it's classist and it's colonialist, and yet it's the tool that is there. And I wish that it could translate. Like I just wish that there was like an easy creative process that people could use. But I mean, I don't know. I think that's why we're doing what we're doing, is that we understand that like translation problem. And so we're trying to be this bridge, and we're trying to make it fun, and we're trying to make the interviews like really similar to this call. Like,
Hmm.
you know, and like, and then we do the hard work of synthesizing the data, but then the synthesis is like horribly boring too. Like the last week that I spent on synthesis, so it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was just trying to get like all of the data from the interviews into a table so that the table could be like coded. And I just wanted to watch Netflix, and I would like make myself a little bit of lunch and then find that I was playing Tetris for an hour and a half. And I was like, why is this so hard? You know, it's like so boring. And then we're expecting people like, also the folks that we work with in Brazil, and like maybe a little bit also in Guinea-Bissau, like we're expecting people to self-report, but these are the people who are facing the violations, and also like their full-time job is like protecting their land, defending their land. And then we're like, oh yeah, but if you want acknowledgement from the international community, you have to do it like this. By the way, if you're not literate, which like a lot of people,
Yeah.
like learning how to read isn't a priority, it's not relevant to their lives, like then this door is totally closed to you. You know, it's stupid. The whole process is stupid. The whole process is definitely excluding the people that need it the most. And like, having recently tried to do a little bit of like reporting, I have so much sympathy for the people that you're speaking about who are facing violations now, you know?
Yeah. No, it is. It's so cumbersome, the whole process of,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to do it, make it like unequivocal, right? Some of the forums, for example, the Special Rapporteur on Rights of Indigenous Peoples, like that forum is pretty straightforward, not too difficult. But once you go to treaty bodies, like once you have to
Mm-hmm.
deal with them, like it makes things a lot more technical. And then, well, then it's very helpful that you have like a legal, can look at things from a legal point of view. And then just like you said, it is, when it comes to these violations, what I try to do is that it's translated, and not like linguistically, but more like so that people understand, like make it like put it in layman's terms,
Yeah.
so that they understand what the parameters are of the question, and then they give an answer, and hopefully that answer fits into that question. But most of the times, I have to like rephrase or reword a particular answer that they give,
Mm-hmm.
which is very uncomfortable to me because I don't want to like. There's a high level high level of authenticity in the answer that they give, and you do not want to like water that down, so that it fits the question or the criteria that's a that's been these human rights violations. Or, but so that is it's I'm struggling with that a lot, and not just myself, but like a lot of my colleagues as well.
Yeah, we kind of anticipated that problem a little bit. So then we made our own questionnaire, which I think is kind of what you've done too. And then so like the interview like casts this really wide net so that at some point in the process of the interview, people will hopefully articulate their violation in a way and like give the date of the violation stuff, but like in a way that is comfortable for them, so that as you said, like the authentic thing that they say actually like is quotable. Because you want it, like, I understand the temptation to reword it, because there was one defender that we were speaking with a lot since January, and they told us these anecdotes that just like, I don't know, like I have grey hairs now. I think it's as a result of what I learned from this individual. But then when we went into like interview mode and like they knew the interview was coming, they had helped us to set up interviews with other people. Then we went into the interview, like the answers were almost like monosyllabic. I'm not very good at talking. Monosyllabic, yeah, that like just really like frozen up, and from being the person who had like the most rich information and who'd brought in so many resources, as soon as they knew that their answers were going to be like counted and quantified, just couldn't give the information that they'd given freely for weeks beforehand. And you could see like the frustration on their face, like kind of how I'm feeling right now. Just can't quite express the important, the inner life, the richness that they wanted to express. But yeah, like it's hard. Also, I'm just gonna adjust because I've been like sinking.
Sure.
This is like COVID-19 office bedroom office.
Yeah, I've moved away from the apartment, as in like from Amsterdam. I'm now up north with my siblings, because like there's no use for me to be in Amsterdam right now. So I'm like, just go up north, chill a little bit, and I've been here for
it looks
like
really homey behind you. Like it looks like you're in a.
Well, this is nothing compared to. Well, this is more homely than my where I live, which is more like, I wouldn't call it like an ER, like ER. ER, like.
Is it very sterile?
Yeah, that's what it is. Sterile, like, yeah.
My room was, when I moved into it, like maybe a month ago, but now every single surface has plants on it.
Okay.
Like every surface.
Yeah, I don't
know. The windows. I like built a cajon, and then I'm now using it to like put plants on. But like originally I wanted to like have a jam with my friends, and then I was like, oh wait, lockdown, I have no friends. So now I'm like, the plant table.
Right. Yeah, like, so do you how do you stay in touch with your friends? Like Zoom or WhatsApp, conference calls?
WhatsApp, 100, like, and also I'm really bad at staying in touch. I've written letters, like post, and received letters in the post. That's been nice. The process is really nice too. And then like I wrote a letter to this person, and I was like, oh wait, this letter makes no sense. I know, I'll like draw some pictures. And then before I knew it, I was like drawing and painting all over the letter. And you know how like on your computer you can be like, oh, that was weird. That was a weird thing to do. I know, I'll just delete it or undo.
Right.
But
yeah.
Because it was like work that I'd done, and I couldn't bother to rewrite the letter, and I painted all over it. I was like, okay, just gonna send it. This is just like a genuine expression of who I am. I am nuts. Like and yeah, I'm really trying to like not say nuts and insane and crazy, because I understand that's like ableist words. Yeah.
What do you mean? Like you don't want?
So I'm probably not the best person to describe it, But you know how like we don't use certain words to describe certain races and genders because it's derogatory?
Mm-hmm.
And then like a thing that has stayed in our vocabulary that really shouldn't have is like referring to like mental health terms casually in conversations. Like the number of times we say like that's insane or like, oh, I was crazy. But what we actually mean was like that was unusual. Oh, I was expressing myself. And like I'll just be like, oh yeah, I was nuts. And I think like the only words that I really come up with that replaces any of those words is bananas. So I try and be like, oh, that's bananas. Because bananas is a really great and kind of funny word. Like you just like imagine banana fingers and
Right. Yeah.
yeah, but like eliminating ableist terms.
We do that a lot, right? Like
Yeah,
if I look, yeah,
like
looking
it's
back.
really integrated into how we express ourselves. Like it's not good. It's like how people used to say like that's so gay when they meant that's bad, but that's like a really unkind way to refer to anything. And we know that, and we stopped saying that. But why haven't we stopped it for like?
Yeah. Like who came up with that idea? By the way, like to call something like that, like that's okay, or that's you're crazy, or you're mental, or
Probably the cool kids.
probably cool kids. Yeah. Yeah.
The kids. I mean, like at school, we were all looking for words to use, right? Like you use words to show how powerful you are in a small group where you don't have any other tools. Like when you're a kid, you don't really have your own money, and like how strong you are is just like based on how far along you are in puberty. So like the only thing you have is your words, right? So then you try and use like the most offensive, the most amusing words. And yeah.
Did you use a lot of those words when you were in school?
So I think that like using like those like words that refer to mental health is more recent. Like saying the other thing I said, like calling things gay, that was definitely what people in my school would say. But I was gonna say that we never used racial slurs, but people from a different school to my one made a lot of jokes about Judaism despite like definitely not knowing what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people who, if you called someone out like and told them that they said that, now I think they'd be mortified, like really, really embarrassed.
Right.
Because as a world, we've gotten a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I think but those people still hate women. Like really will say wild things on the internet about how incompetent women are. So that's interesting.
Trying to think of words that I heard a lot when I was a kid. Probably like like slurs against gay people. Something I heard a lot.
Yeah, and now it seems so like you were fucked up. Like, why would you say that?
Mm-hmm.
What else did you?
No, not necessarily racial slurs because no, haven't heard that much. But yeah, no. Like actually, I can remember a lot actually about when I was a kid, in terms of school, in terms of what I said. Yeah.
Saying fuck was quite cool.
What? Sorry?
Saying fuck was definitely cool. Like, kids definitely thought you were cool if you used the F word.
Yeah, I didn't use that much.
I think I did. And then it was really jarring because it would be like a girl who looks like me with my accent saying the F word. Just kind of be like trying to smoke a doob in church. Like, people would be like, why are you doing that? Like, people would be more offended because
right.
in an unexpected place. You're quite well spoken. I feel like you don't say rude things very much.
Well, there's a time and place, of course, for Like you definitely do not want to hear me at I don't know, when I'm watching a football game or something live.
That's such a traditional blokey thing. Like you just like have all your emotions like pent up. Like you've had a really hard week and you just like save it for the football.
Oh, it's like escapism, like it's the ability to or not ability, but like the opportunity to just not let everything go, but like have some kind of a catalyst. All the rage that you have. At least that's what I did before, though. Like, because I played rugby a lot.
Ah, cool. I didn't
So,
know that about you.
for me,
I didn't know that about you.
oh, sorry, yeah, it's one of many World Cup secrets up until this point, like 5 seconds ago. So I played rugby a lot, and yeah, that was like every weekend or like during the week that I practice. It was a way of blowing our steam, right? Like having to deal with yeah, not just life, but also like the work and the frustrations and the challenges.
Yeah.
So yeah, rugby was one. Meditation was one. Is one. It's one that I do a lot. And now it's not now, but like don't play rugby as often as I want to. Play football from time to time. But yeah, going to the gym, going for a run, but not like crazy 5K, 10K runs that you do. That's.
I mean, like I definitely walk at least between 4 and 6K every time I do one of those runs. I'm trying to like extend it. So in Geneva, the Geneva Running Club, this is like a hot tip for anyone who's in Geneva right now. Like the running club that's there is one of the best things in Geneva, and their shortest loop is 6 kilometers. And no one in the club really runs it, so you end up running the 8-kilometer loop pretty much straight away. And then once you run the 8-kilometer loop, you get kind of curious about what the 10-kilometer loop looks like, so then you do that. And so just because I wanted to be part of something, I started running longer distances. It's not like I'm very fit. Like you can like look at my arm. This is not the arm of like a thin person. I'm like pretty juicy. I just like drag that around, and then also like the only good route here in London is a 10K loop. Every other route that I've tried to go on has been like along very busy roads or like goes through an industrial park. It's really depressing. And then this one just goes between a river and a huge botanical garden.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
It's a privilege to do. So
right.
That's why I'm doing that.
Oh.
You said something about something that I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was. You were talking about like your fitness regime, and I was like, "Oh, I have a relevant comment," but I totally forgot.
Well, that was before the whole quarantine thing. Now it's like, probably like I don't know, haven't done anything lately. Like 3K. That's usually what I usually do. 3K.
It's good if you can like also run the whole 3K. Like it's just such a good like blast to the body, gets your head back in order.
Yeah, I try to do 3K and 10 or 11 flat. So that's usually just like a warm up thing.
I want to do rugby. Before lockdown, I'd signed up for like an all women's rugby team, and I was so excited. And they were going to do tryouts, and then it was like, oh, you can't do this. Also, like rugby is like really contact, so you're just like rubbing yourself up against some person's butt. Like you're definitely gonna like if someone was sick, you would leave covered in their.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's not like tennis where you could like have a rubber glove to like pick up the ball and then you'd never get contaminated. Like
no, like it's I'm very grateful that I don't have any like you can see that I did that like cauliflower style ears.
Do you have cauliflower ears? You don't.
No.
No.
luckily. But like front row guys, they definitely have cauliflower ears.
I don't actually even. Okay, if I Google it now, am I going to be so grossed out that I'll never be able to talk to anyone who. Okay, cauliflower.
You can Google it.
For cauliflower. Definitely put in some extra. Oh, that's not that bad. I really thought it was going to be like
actual things growing out of your ears.
Well, so you know when you look at pigeons' feet after like. Oh wait, there are some really horrible ones. Oh, there are some real. Okay, so you know how like pigeons that live in cities, like their feet turn into like lumps of broccoli. I thought it would look like that, but on your ear. But
well, not exactly like that though. But yeah, it can turn. I've seen very strange cases of cauliflower ears with some guys. So I'm very glad. Like depending on your position that you have. Like if you're front row, like that's like you're like a dump truck basically. That is all muscle and cauliflower ears, and you get squished to the ground. And but if you're on the backside or scrum half or something like that, but you have less chance of getting those ears. And and so I'm not so tall either. No, I'm not tall. I'm just short. That's what it is.
Are you? I guess because I know you in like a professional context. So like if you're on my sports team, maybe I'd measure you. But
no, they're like
at work. Like you don't go around being like, "Is this colleague tall or short?" That's like not it.
Well, you won't see it if you're like behind a negotiation table. You only see like shirts and ties, and
everyone just kind of looks the same. It's just a lineup of like
everyone looks the same. Yeah,
people that know stuff, and they're gonna say it now. You know.
Yeah, like it's sometimes like there was one time one negotiation table, there was this sign that had my name on it, was so big, was so high that it almost like people could not see me because I'm so short.
Oh no! Oh my goodness!
I think it was it was at the EU. Yeah, so EU, they should change that whole thing.
So rude. Okay, but now I have to like look out for whether you're tall or not next time I see you.
Oh,
which might be never. Imagine if we're like locked down for the rest of our entire lives.
No, don't say that, because that's very depressing if you think like that.
I used to be scared of zombies. Now I'm scared that I'm never gonna get to go to the pub again.
Well, you can go out, right? You can go for a walk and.
Yeah, but I like the process of meeting people and finding out what brings them joy. Like all of that stuff is important to me. And I think now you only really get to talk to the people you already know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just
true.
Not who I am.
And
I mean, through my work, I'm getting to meet other people, but it would just be so strange if, like, after the interview, I was like, okay, I feel like we really clicked. How would you like to embark on a long friendship with me? It's just no one wants that from me.
Do you still work from home, or do you have to go to the office?
Yeah, I work from home, but I'm really lucky because I'm also like resident friend, which is like a warden of a Quaker meeting house. So we've got like this huge burial ground and then some allotments that people from the Disability Network here in Hounslow use, maybe Brentford. I don't know where I live. And then like also the Quaker meeting house itself, which is like this peaceful place that just like smells of books. Mm-hmm. So like in terms of like lockdown privileges, the fact that I was volunteering on this position and like live in a place that means that me and my flatmate are the only people who can maintain this position, like has been wicked. Like it means that I'm doing extra work on top of my work, but at least it's something to do, because otherwise I would just watch TV. Like I was up until 2 watching spy movies last night.
Which ones?
like a movie called Spy, which is about like a plus size woman that no one takes seriously, but then it turns out that she can do martial arts and she's a wicked spy. And then I followed that with a Steve Carell spy movie, Get Smart. And then, oh god, this is so embarrassing. And then I followed that with like a film called The Other Guys, which has like Will Ferrell in it, maybe. That wasn't a spy movie, it was like a police movie. And I was like, oh, the police aren't good guys. But then like watched it anyway. And that was like like as films go, like this underlying like slight misogynistic message. Like in fact in the first film, like the cast was like definitely there were more women in it. And then in the two following films, like there was only one woman character in the Steve Carell one. And then the film after that, like the only female characters that there were wives, and they were like treated like shit. I'm not sure why I brought that up. Maybe it was to like add some analysis onto like my absolute waste of an evening.
Is that your go-to topic or theme?
Gender? No, but I feel like it's not enough people's go-to theme. And like if we want to realize equality anywhere, we have to realize it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think the patriarchy oppresses men. Like the last film I watched last night was literally like one of the main characters was smashing shit up and couldn't relate to anyone, and that's like the patriarchy making him feel like shit. But like you don't frame it like that. You're like, oh, this man's a policeman and his job is really difficult, and it's like, no, this is a really, really hurt human being. And like when you meet dudes and they're like, default is to smash shit up, and then like no one wants to talk to them because they're smashing shit up, like that's a person who's been hurt by the patriarchy. Same thing. It's just different damages to a human.
Right. Top three.
Top three what?
Like favorites.
Favorite
movies.
Star Wars. And if I'm only allowed to pick three, then like Star Wars. And then so I guess like followed by, do you know this film called Search for the Wilder People? Maybe it's called that.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What a banger. And then when I was really little, I liked Mulan a lot, and I haven't revisited that to see if it's problematic.
Mm-hmm.
But also with the Star Wars, obviously the original Star Wars, but then have you watched Mandalorian?
Yes. I watched it.
Oh my god.
What do you think about it?
I really liked it. I really liked the storytelling. I really liked that, like, it called upon other stuff from outside the Star Wars universe. So, you know, the one where he's defending the village, that's basically like Seven Samurai, but in space, which is so cool. So what's your top three movies? And also, what did you think of Mandalorian? I hope you also liked it. Otherwise, I have to leave the conversation.
Loved it. Like the Mandalorian?
Yes. Okay, good.
Yeah, 100%. Mostly because I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I purchased Disney Plus. As in, hold on. Disney Plus, Mandalorian. Yeah, and like the Disney, like most of the Disney movies, like the old ones, like Mulan, Lion King, like the non-CGI.
Yeah.
Lion King, because like the CGI version, did not like it. I really did not like it.
I have not watched it yet.
But yeah, definitely the Star Wars franchise is something that I hold on. Yeah, and also yeah, the animated series.
What of?
On the like of Star Wars, like Clone Wars.
So I tried to watch that, and then I was like, I don't know if I like this, and then I didn't watch it. Do you think it's good?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're asking a Star Wars fanatic, so like
you are
so almost everything is good.
There's like a capacity for a friendship here, like outside of 100%.
work. I did a I did a Zoom call with people that were interested in science fiction and Star Wars. Just like a couple of weeks ago, just for the fun of it. And we,
I mean, I would be like bottom of the pile in terms of knowing stuff, but top of the pile in terms of total enthusiasm.
yeah, so like it was like, I don't know, like people from Latin America, US, Canada. Yeah, we joined in and we talked about like science fiction.
Like a group of like negotiators for Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Just like we need a showing of Star Wars in room 20. Like
I know that of at least five lead negotiators in the Unit Triple C that are crazy Star Wars fans. Like they're obsessed by
WhatsApp me who they are.
Oh, I can't say it.
I don't know if you should say it on this.
I know a couple experts as well that are obsessed with Star Wars.
What do you think of the movies that came out when we were teenagers? Assuming that you and me are kind of the same age. You know the ones I mean with Darth Maul.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So like the prequels you're talking about?
Have you watched them as an adult?
Yes.
They are dark. There is no joy. That's why people didn't like them.
After Cop 25, I went into like rehibernation. I watched every single Star Wars movie in the correct order.
I did that recently. So I'm not going to ask you what the correct order is. We can't go there.
1, 2, 3. Obviously. And then comes A Solo Story.
Oh, yeah.
Rogue One. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did I miss one? Solo Story, Rogue One. No, yeah.
I mean, I don't like the big ending of
which one?
The most recent movie that came out like at Christmas.
Yeah, the episode 9. No, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 9.
Just like I find long explosion scenes where like shit's exploding and breaking and there's lightning going everywhere like tedious. And so like when a film dedicates like the last section to just like people's faces going as they're like shooting light out of their hands, like I think that's like a real waste. Yeah. That's my. But I didn't hate the new ones that much.
Well, there's a lot of questions actually. Like the new ones should be answering questions, but they created new questions and a lot of like things that just didn't make any sense. Like when 7 came out, I was under the assumption that Rey was not that Rey was a Skywalker. That's what I thought. And then only in 9, or like what was it 9? That we
find out pretty early that she's not, don't you?
Well, here's the thing. And then at the end of it, like the final scene that when she goes back to was it Tatooine?
Yeah.
Then she introduces herself as the Skywalker.
Yeah, but that's like I identify as a Skywalker. It's different.
Yeah, but like it's.
I think it's cute. By the way, I like
100%, but it's confusing. Like it makes also, you like think about this like 2 or 3 times. I have to watch it 2 or 3 times.
Oh no, that bit I understood. I'm quite good at just like getting those bits, but I think that's because I like watch movies with like hyper focus. I just like I need to know. So, what did you think of the Solo movie?
I loved it mostly because Emilia Clarke was in it.
Okay. I loved it because I often see the resistance, like in that particular movie. I felt like it was like almost like a sympathetic telling of like a story of Indigenous people sticking up for their shit. Like that made me that was like my take, and then I'm like, that's embarrassing that that's what you've like. That sort of shows what my like framing of the whole world is right now.
No, that was actually the biggest outcome of the Zoom call that we had. Because I watched the last episode of Star Wars, and I just had felt the need to like say something about it on Facebook. Like, all right, you guys, are you seeing the same thing that I'm seeing? That this whole Star Wars movie thing is like Indigenous peoples versus the colonialists, the colonial world, and everyone was like, yeah, like I
Okay,
got that too.
I was not being original. That's cool.
No, look, like yeah, of course you're original in a way that you saw it that what other people, Indigenous people saw as well, and not a lot of people see it that way. You know, and it's.
I think that's more because not a lot of people are exposed to like the genuine Indigenous stories and like don't quite realize how badass people are being right now in real life. You know,
Mhm.
like when you're fighting a dam or stopping deforestation, like there is really, really like a lot of stuff that you could film in a very charismatic way and tell the exact same story as Star Wars, but like literally just some like yeah, people fighting a deforestation. I
Yeah,
sort of wish
yeah.
those retellings would happen so that the audience that is the consumer public was on like default on the side of Indigenous people, like default like, well, I'm not going to buy stuff from this brand because these Indigenous peoples are my heroes. Like I know that that's then like raising issues about pedestals and stuff, but you
Well,
know, just like that better like a better retelling than the victim story, which is what people try to fundraise with. They're always like, this person's whole family was killed and now they're really sad, and it's like that's like also not a good narrative.
it bugs me. It bugs me a
Mm.
lot that most of these narratives, when it comes to fundraising, advocacy, is about that white savior complex, like
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
or and from an Indian side as well, that this like language we use that language that makes it sound like we depend on yeah the majority yeah the majority, you know, so that it bugs me a lot that and it goes mostly to the mindset of people as like not knowing that the power that you have, the strength of the indigenous movement, with the strength of indigenous knowledge, you know, stuff like that, you know. So it is, yeah, this maybe it's maybe we should look at it from, should probably document it in a cinematic way.
I mean, there is almost certainly some amazing documentaries that have been made, probably even by Indigenous people that I'm just so ignorant that I don't know about them.
Hmm.
Like that's also like when you learn, so when you go into a space you'll often have these opinions and be like, I'm so annoyed that no one has ever done it this way before, and then people who've been in the movement for a long time will be like, actually we've really tried that, we've tried that like 7 times, we've tried that every time an obnoxious person has turned up and said we should try it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be good to know any of Ghazali's listeners, all one of them, 3-0.
No, there are many more. Um, no, like the biggest. What was there was something I wanted to say about like, shoot, I totally lost it. There was something you said.
I wish I had like note paper because sometimes you'll say stuff that will really inspire me, and then
Oh,
next thing I know, we've like forgotten.
yeah. No, it was. Man, what did you? All right, try to recall what you said. Like the last words were. Oh, you're on mute. Uh, What?
Hi.
Hi. I don't know what happened though.
That was fun.
There was something that
What were you saying?
What's the last thing that you said?
Can't remember. You said something good, and then I forgot what I was going to reply to it, and then you were like, "Oh, you said something," and I'd forgotten what I was going to reply to that.
Yeah.
I don't have a pen and paper. This is like so stupid. I have a chick lit novel and my mobile phone, and then like nothing to record thoughts on. I thought I was well prepared for this, but it turned out that I wasn't.
I'm not prepared for this. I have a pen in my hand, but like I don't write anything down because it's like just the flow of things. That's what I like.
Pen is like a prop to let people know that you're a thinking man.
Pen is my prop to as a catalyst for when I'm uncertain, nervous, or anything anxious, like just to like a I don't know, to fiddle around with. That's what. Yeah.
So normally, because a call wouldn't be live, I will literally be like playing a game so that I am fiddling with something, and then my brain just works really well. It's like I have too much noise if I have my brain focused on one thing. So if I'm divided and focusing on like two things, I can like listen and articulate in a much more relaxed way. Right. I think that's like the modern person is so overstimulated that we don't know how to be unstimulated.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's hard for me to especially, well, I should not say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. In meetings and negotiations, it's hard for me to focus.
Same. I don't know if anyone's listening in those meetings.
Yeah. So, for example, from time to time when I'm in negotiation room, I have to force myself to write things down to stay focused. Otherwise, if you just like, maybe I'm easily distracted, I don't know, but definitely I'm like, oh shoot, fuck, what did you say? Can't remember it.
I take verbatim notes. Like I type out everything that everyone said, and sometimes people will be like, can I have your notes from the meeting? And I'll be like, no, because they're horrible. It's just full of typos, like
as long as you understand it, right?
Word for word. I know, but people then want my notes because like sharing notes is an acceptable thing to do. And I'll have to spend like a few hours like going through a full day's worth of negotiations to like just delete the parts where like sometimes if someone says something awful, I will write that it's awful after it. I'll be like, what is this awful melon-headed man saying? And like and then I have to delete that obviously because it's unprofessional.
Do you take notes on laptops or just like physical notebook, pen?
On my laptop, because I've met myself and I know that I lose notebooks.
Okay.
In Katowice, I had to go to retrieve my notebook from the lost property 3 times.
Oh, okay.
So, because I'll just like be talking to someone and then I'll like put it down, but I will not lose the laptop because the laptop belongs to someone else. Like I'm always with a work laptop.
Right.
My own laptop has since been donated to my partner because he wouldn't buy his own laptop. So like he had this laptop that I'm amazed it was still working. He was using it in a pub and there was like a candle on the table, and then he noticed this like light patch expanding through the middle of his screen, and then he realized like the back of his laptop was on fire, so he like stopped the fire and then just continued to use this laptop, which was as big as an 8-year-old child, like really big, really heavy, and now it was burned through the back, and he just used it for years. Such a nonsense human.
my laptop died on me in the middle of negotiations in Madrid.
Oh no.
On Article 6. Yeah.
Oh no.
I was I was in the people's office running down the our priorities like for states because they were asking for it, and all of a sudden it died.
So what do you do if that happens?
So luckily, there was a like a smartphone laptop doctor on site. So I went to
Right.
that. So I went to that cubicle and I was like, all right, it died on me. This is what it does. It won't turn on anymore. Please help me. And I was willing to pay like whatever price they would give me, because like there was so many important things on the laptop. So they gave me, all right, come back in 3 hours. So after 3 hours, I came back, and they told me, well, yeah, you need a new part, as like your hard drive, it just fried, doesn't work anymore. You need a new part. We can order it, but it will take like 1 week to have it delivered to us. So you're
Oh
better
my
off like
goodness.
going home, and then so for the rest of COP25, I was just using my smartphone and
So
um,
sad.
asking Tomo to lend his iPad to me to
Oh,
write stuff.
such a sweet, nice person.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that he was around. Otherwise, yeah, otherwise I would not know what to do, because like Article 6 is the only thing that is still open of the rule book,
Mm.
and we're making like serious headway, making serious progress. And I was leading the team on Article 6 from an indigenous point of view. So
Great.
it was, I was so not, yeah, I was very upset when my laptop died on me. And people were like, and some of the people were like, you know what, just I don't know, ask around if people are willing to donate to buy a new laptop. Yeah, just one to get you through the week. Like, no, I can't ask people to do that, because
Also, like single-use laptop.
yeah, you know, like especially at a climate change conference.
Yeah, it's just too ironic. I love
So
how
yeah,
like the actual story within your story is like the friendship, like the true friendship between you and Tomo, like kind of like shout out to the MVP.
yeah, like it is like, when did I meet Tomo? It was SB48. So that was May 2018. May 2018. Yeah. Well, he was a researcher just on one of the research participation of Indigenous peoples and international processes like UNFCCC.
Mm.
And yeah, like at least how I experienced it. He might experience it differently though. Um, he's hung around with us. Well, he was very polite, as the guy is, and he asked me like, so he came with this whole pitch of like wanted to research the participation of Indigenous peoples, and like what I asked, like, well, how can we help you? Because I felt, yeah, it is something that um if it's done, provided it's done under the right parameters, like respecting these people's privacy and everything else, like, yeah, just go for it. We're open. And yeah, I think that was the start of a very good friendship. Actually, he he was in Geneva for the MRIP as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he's now segueing like also like exploring not just UNFCCC but also human rights. And yeah, I think he will be probably interested, like if we like the ocean negotiations or New York or biodiversity or whatever. And yeah, and he's now also like, he has been able to, no, I'm saying that wrong. People love him. People like him.
Yeah,
The
like
way that he
of
interacts
course
with
he's
people.
amazing. So like
Yeah.
present and respectful.
Yeah.
It's great.
100%. And in a way that like, it was. I remember. I think it was in Katowice. There was during negotiations, and there was something was going on, and states had to regroup or something. And so when states have to regroup, we have to regroup as well. We have to
Yeah.
consolidate again as Indigenous people. So I asked somebody, maybe myself or somebody else, asked the secretary, like, because we were in that meeting room, can we please use the room for our own internal coordination? Yeah, sure, why not? And so, yeah, everyone was respectfully requested to leave the room that was not Indigenous. And I saw Tomo like hesitating, like, should I go? Should I not go? But they were actually like, and these people were like, no, stay. Like, you're one of us. Like, you respect us, we respect you, and so in that way, like, it's like and he's like, that is something that's very significant. Also, that he was asked to update the caucus in May 2019 on so like as a as a non-Indigenous person to update the caucus on what was going on in agriculture, I believe. So
Yeah, I feel like I hope after his work, his research is done, he can continue to be like an ally and participate. Because this thing happens where also kind of happened to me a bit, like you build up knowledge whilst you're there and you learn how to be useful. And then for so many people, like the funding isn't there, you don't have the time. So you often just like leave and you take your knowledge with you. And yeah, and I think for just so many people, it's so sad because that transience and impermanence means that you guys are constantly retraining people. Like it takes a while for that knowledge to build up. And then when it goes away, it's like, and then a new researcher comes along and then you have to befriend a new researcher and you have to figure out whether you can trust that new person. This is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. And like trust is very hard to find.
Yeah.
A thing that's very hard to come by in these contexts of like multilateral negotiations.
Yeah.
In a way that, yeah.
It's amazing how like actually people kind of trust. I don't know if you actually trust me, but were like kind and inclusive and like told me stuff fairly early on, actually. Earlier than I thought.
Really?
I mean, you're all super nice to me.
I remember,
which is the first time I met you.
I remember the good conversation that we had.
You mean the one at the Christmas market?
No, because we also had coffee. You remember that at that little cafe thing?
Yeah, I was stalking you to like have a throwback to our earlier conversation.
Because we always met halfway. Because you were in like the main like building, and our office was like all the way.
Yeah,
at the end of the
office was far.
It was like
I think Tomo showed me where your office was actually. At one point, he was so proud of like the big your friend. It was really cute.
Really?
Yeah.
He doesn't. He normally doesn't do that though. Because like we're very good friends. Like we make fun of each other a lot though. But in a very
good friendship,
bromance kind of way. Yeah. So like So I think so. Yeah. So some conversations were like with you, Thomas, and myself. Remember that cafe thing?
Yeah.
I think like and already from the get-go we had some very deep conversations, but not I think that wasn't just on human rights or climate change, but it was on every
I feel like though that situation, you have like 2 weeks to make an impact on these negotiations, but you also have 2 weeks to like solidify these friendships. And so it's like your relationships are like hyper normal, like the closeness that you develop with people is so strong, and it's only like a really, really small number of interactions, but like you guys and then your line, who I think you know quite well now as well, like you were my safe space and you were like the place where I could have those conversations that would nourish me rather than negotiations which kind of the opposite of nourish you, like they're harmful in a way.
Yeah,
they drive you nuts.
It's like meetings like in Geneva or New York or like for example, let's use the UNFCCC. To me, they're like diplomatic speed dating, as in you only have a limited amount of time to meet someone, get into like, do I like you, do I trust you or not, and build that into something that is strong and that can last at least 2 weeks. You know, so that's why I've learned, obviously, well, not obviously, but like you should not apply this in real life though, but it can only be applied in a UN context or like national negotiations context, that like you have to like go straight to the point. Well, not go straight to the point, but yeah, be fast though, like because you only have like one.
You have such limited time,
yeah. Like if you want to talk to, like there was actually one person that was following me on Twitter or Instagram, something like that, and saw that I was on a panel in some kind of side event, and here's here's my thought, like, well, who the hell wants to talk to me? You know, like I'm just a guy that likes to do the work and that's it. And this guy was like, yeah, I've been tracking you, and like I want to have like 2 minutes every time. 2 minutes, that's all you need, because I think you only have 2 minutes.
Oh my god, please say it's a negotiator, like a lead negotiator or something.
It was an expert, so one of the experts to a certain state. That is.
Oh wow, fabulous!
Yeah.
I mean, so the first time I saw you, like you definitely hadn't seen me, and it was in that first week in Katowice before we'd spoken, and you were like delivering the interventions for like the operationalization
yeah,
of the like LCIPP, and you would just like be like on point and so concise and like just tearing it up, and I thought you were a state. I was like, that's so articulate. Like, and like I was like listening to what you were saying, I was like, this state really cares about Indigenous peoples.
Boy.
So I can see how like an expert would be reaching out to you to like get information.
Yeah, well, if you put it like that, was it because I was wearing a suit and not a woolly shirt? A aloha shirt?
Maybe. No, it's what you said. It's what you said. Okay. And like, I remember at one point there had to be like a little breakout, but like in the room, and then you like came back and delivered like the part of the breakout. And I was like, how did you assimilate the, because someone had made a change. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what state said what, so I'm not gonna, but like basically some state had made a change that was like a bummer and no one was surprised, but like you had to assimilate like how that change would make a difference to you guys and then like deliver your response. And it was you that was doing the delivery, and I know that obviously there was like a lot of people behind you and supporting you, but feeling confident with that wording to know what you were saying and the impacts of what you were saying is like, it's a skill. It's cool.
Well, it is. I think I remember that. Well, there are many of those moments actually that states called an audible, like something that was not anticipated or that we did not expect, and that like states are. It's easier for example, like G77. G77 and plus China, like they have their marching, they have their instructions, they have the coordination meeting, and so they can once they say something in a meeting or once
you kind of know they're going to stick to it.
Yeah. For Indigenous peoples, though, like we have our mandate. I have my marching orders, but if something comes up that might influence our work or our priorities, that I have to check back with the regions, with all the 7 regions. So. When something like that comes up, like I always have to like ask for like 5 to 10 minutes, like to huddle a little bit.
Yeah, then, but you also have to be able to spot that thing is enough of a pivot that you need to call a break to talk to everyone. Like that. So when all the wording's there and stuff, and you're just negotiating it, like you have to be able to see when someone's made a pivot that's so big that you have to go and talk to everyone, because if you wrongly identify it and you waste everyone's time, that's really annoying.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't have much time, and like the secretariat was like pretty clear, like if we dilly-dallied too much in that room, we were just gonna lose the room, which
Definitely.
we didn't do.
And you have to like the pressure that the substitute chair is putting on you. Like, all right, I want a clean text before midnight tonight, or something along those lines. So there's a lot of pressure on. So like,
I mean, they also put a lot of pressure on you in particular on that occasion, I think, but I don't know what was going on the years leading up to that. So,
well, one thing that I at least that I know. Well, hold on. Should I say more properly? The reason why we can always come out fast or come back quickly with what any people's want to see, or like what our thoughts are, is because I give them something to work with. So from the moment that I ask the secretariat, like, all right, we need 5 to 10 minutes to consolidate or to check back with these peoples.
you kind of already know what the response will be.
No, I don't know what the response will be. I know what my response will be.
Okay.
Like assuming having heard having guided the conversations with the caucus, because it was also the co-chair of the Indigenous Peoples Caucus as well, and so I basically know what the priorities are. But so from the moment that I asked for like 5 to 10 minutes to the point that I will actually gather, I already get a like a draft idea or draft response in my head. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. So, usually what I do is, so when I do this huddle, like, all right, this is what we know so far. Mm-hmm. Right, this is what they said. This is what they said. This is what this country said. This is what country Y said. Country Z. All right. What did I miss? And then everybody else, and I also ask like, what do you observe? Not like what do you think, but what do you observe? What did they say? And so that we have a clear picture. First of all, it's very important, like, to see the entire board, as in like see it as like a chessboard, see where the pieces are, and then like when everybody is on the same page, as in like everybody sees what you see, and I see what everyone else sees, that I can like, all right, so here's my proposal, what we do, based on what we've heard so far, and then let them shoot at it. Let the caucus decide. All right, I agree, I disagree, or something along those lines. So in a way, it is not like that. All right. Sorry, guys, we have a problem. This is what this country said. What do you think? Because if you go like that, like you need like at least 2 days to get to a consensus. So yeah. At least that's my process. And of course, like if you ever paid attention to like who's sitting right next to me in negotiations, that's also very important.
Really?
Yeah. It is. I'm always flanked by people that I hate to say this because it makes me think back to like Jerry Maguire, that movie, like that complete you.
Okay.
If you're the spokesperson or the lead negotiator in any negotiations, your job, first and foremost, is to pay attention what other people say and what they not say. So like your focus should be on who's around the table, what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's also very important that for at least for Indigenous people's point of view, that you do check in with the regions, like, because they also have thoughts. So, but you need to filter, because you cannot like focus on what's happening at the table and also like look at your phone every 3 seconds because it goes off and somebody else wants to say something.
Yeah.
Because and like there's a lot of noise, but you have to pay attention to the signal, what people are saying. Yeah. So I had Yanni next to me, Yanni Stefansson from the
Great, yeah, so
Sweden,
cool.
And like, I need you right next to me. Not because we're very good friends, but like you're very good with all this. And she was basically my filter. So whenever something came up that she felt that I needed to know, like she gave me a nudge and then just wrote something down, or when I wanted to know something from everyone, like, all right, what are your thoughts on this? I just like whispered to her, like, all right, can you ask everyone what they think about this? And then she sends a text to the whole group, and then comes back at me with something. And
Yeah.
then to my right, usually is something is someone that has been with you, um, at least Estebancho from Latin America. He has been in human rights and in climate negotiations, so like he knows everything. So he's your like my so like if Yanni is my wide angle lens, as in like she knows how to she communicates with everyone. Estebancho is my zoom lens, as in like he can go right into depth, all right, and advise me on like if I have concern about CBD language that states want to use, like all right, AJ, well, what do you think about using CBD language into this process? So it is very important that like that you as being at the table in the negotiations, that you do not have to be everything, like that your focus is solely to be the mouthpiece of Indigenous peoples in the negotiations, and your priority is to gather all the information from the conversation and be able to relay that to the caucus and make decisions that the caucus can agree with, that can rely upon. So it is very intentional, and that's something that I tell a lot of people when they go into negotiations, is that like it is not about like, all right, I'm the guy that's going to be your savior. It's going to be the lead negotiator. I'll be the Harvey Specter of Indigenous peoples. Like that is not the case. Like people should definitely like put that out of their heads. It is a group of people, because states are doing the exact same thing. So like we as any people should be doing the same. And I advise other civil society people that are on at negotiation table to do the same, to create that infrastructure, that flow from information, that you as a point person, that people that are at the table have the right information and current information, and are able to relay that. And yeah, and you definitely do not want to get on the bad side of the caucus. Like I've been on the bad side of the caucus once, like many years ago, and like you
What
don't want
did
to be
you
on the bad side.
do?
What did I do? What did I not do? Yeah, it was. Should I say this? Yeah, I've been on the bad side of the caucus of the Pacific Caucus, for example, but it was mostly
Do you want
like
to save it for another time? I don't want you to accidentally say stuff that's
no,
compromising or
it's fine,
like.
it's fine. I wanted to be able to say it right. So there was 2015, the Print Forum on Indigenous Issues like had a half-day discussion on the Pacific region. So we have a Pacific Caucus, a Pacific Regional Caucus as well. And what we did was, well, we had to identify like who's going to be the panelist. I was fine not being a panelist. Like I'm fine with whoever the caucus decides to put on a panel. And so they decided to put on a lady from the Pacific, or one of the countries in the Pacific, to put her on a panel. But she was new to the UN, new to the Print Forum, and did not know what to do. So I offered like, oh well, I'm willing to write your statement. So you just have to get on stage and just write, and just have to read it. Fine, sure, why not? So I wrote the statement that was reflective of the priorities of all Indigenous peoples from the Pacific, like decolonization, demilitarization, climate change, poverty, like the whole thing, and gave it to her like a couple hours before. Then she told me, "No, I already have my statement." I was like, "What? What's going on?" So I asked for a copy. Like, can I at least read your statement? And then I saw the statement. It was mostly on women's issues, which is women's issues is very important, of course. Like I'm the first one to include that. All right, great. Oh, we also have, but there's you talking on behalf of the region. So like, and we're also like decolonization is very important to the Indigenous peoples in the Pacific. No, I already have my statement. So that was a problem. We had someone on stage that was reading a statement that was not very inclusive of what the entire caucus thought. So asked the chair of the Print Forum, and she said, "Well, when we will put you next to it, next to her, so she can read from the women's point of view, and you can read the general statement." All right, fine, no problem. So I walked up to the lady. She was already on stage, and I told her, like, relax. She was a little bit upset because it was the first time. She was a little bit upset. So I told her, well, relax. It'll be okay. Just read your statement the way you want it to, and I'll read the statement that we wrote. I decided not to go on stage because there was a lot of like people were like, well, there's only one person that should be on stage, not you. So I decided, like, for the good of, like, to not create too much of a disagreement within the caucus, I decided not to go on stage. Afterwards, some people accused me of intimidating, being very intimidating to women, as in, like, in a negative way. And well, people that I don't know, some people. So, and they have been without asking me, or like or talking to me or whatever. Like, people, they've been like trying to recruit other people to support that. That statement. So they scheduled a special meeting of the Indigenous Women Caucus to file official complaint to the Burn Foreign Secretariat against me. So that is in terms of being on the bad side of the Indigenous Caucus, as in, even though it is not.
Is that cleared up now? Like, how long ago was this? Was this long ago enough that it's ancient history and you're friends with everyone now?
It's 5 years ago. But it's cleared up now, at least most of it.
Have you changed? Did you have to change your behavior after that so that you spoke?
I apologized to the lady. I apologized to the caucus. Like, immediately the day after, because like the last thing I wanted was to like disrupt everything. Like, even though like I wasn't like, my intent was not to intimidate people. Like, my intent was like to help out people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but like it is something that is it stays with you. Something like that. When people talk shit about you, that is incorrect. So that's what I mean. We'll be on the bad side of Indigenous peoples, caucus.
Has it affected your ability to interact with women's issues? Oh, yes. I hate saying that.
No, 100%.
Do you feel like now you don't want to go there or be supportive? Or like, is it an area that you're now like afraid of interacting with? Because this, earlier I mentioned like men in my life who like hate women. A few of them have had experiences where they have been excluded or told off, and it's often to do with like a woman, but like it's created like a fear or an anxiety around interacting with women.
No, it is well, not with women in general, but when it comes to Indigenous Women's Caucus or Indigenous women in the Pacific, I feel like I have to walk on eggshells. As in, I'm afraid to interact with them on issues that, even though I supported the women's issues, like I'm afraid to interact because of what happened.
Yeah. I mean, like, so the other thing is that I don't think that it's wrong for a statement at a particular time to focus on gender thematically.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's also really interesting to me that that was also the issue that triggered a conflict, because I feel like if it was a different issue, it would be less prickly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's like there's something about it, like a man telling a woman not to speak about women. Like, you would never be able to come out well in that, no matter how gently you tried or reasoned.
Right. Yeah. So that was the problem. It was that well, not the problem. Sorry to say that, but like we wanted to let her just read out her statement about women's issues, and but also wanted to like say, well, like saying stuff like decolonization and everything else. So that's why we came up with like, all right, let's put two people on
But
the.
then you didn't even. So then you never even read the statement.
I didn't get to read my statement.
Yeah.
She read hers though.
But it's not the only chance that you guys will ever get for your voice if it was like, this is the one time that we're going to hear statements from Indigenous peoples regions,
mm-hmm.
then it would be like harder, and like I would understand more why you'd have to fight your corner. I also wasn't there. I can't talk about your conduct at all, but I do just also like being a woman who hasn't been censored very much. I feel like when I'm like looking out at like the world and the way that women are treated and the way that women often are censored, like I feel like a bit of a duty to say like that is an issue that does need more airtime.
Mm-hmm.
But then like I know, like I really understand that you were in a difficult position, that you were doing your best, and also decolonization is a thing that I probably talk about more readily than I talk about women's issues. Not sure why. Maybe also as a woman, it's harder to fight your corner on that one in decolonization. Like, I'm part of the problem country, so I feel like I should be like, talking about that more. But yeah, just in a way, I think if I was in a position of a woman who was suffering under like colonial issues and like race issues and gender issues, and I had made like a conscious decision to like take a chance and talk about women's issues, and then someone that I respected who said that they were supporting me was kind of like, now isn't the time to talk about your issue, I'd be hurt. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it would obviously like depend on how insecure I was feeling. Like if I was feeling confident and I trusted the relationship between two of us, like you could come to me with like pretty much any criticism. And because we've talked in good faith for a couple of years now, like even if you were like, you swore at me and called me like a fat hedgehog, like your ideas are stupid, like I would probably still take them in good faith. But also I like myself. But if I didn't like myself because of all of the oppression that I'd experienced, like even 3 years ago, this was the case. Like I didn't like myself and I didn't know you, and what you thought of me mattered more to me than what I thought of myself. And you delivered like a difficult to hear truth. I would have taken that the wrong way. And I might have tried to like rally around and gotten people to support me and tell me that I was right, you know? And but I don't think that that means that you shouldn't be an ally. You should like go around with a hat that says "Make America Feminist Again," you know? Like that is still a place that you're allowed to be. And it's kind of sad that like one person who was hurting in a story that I've only heard your side to, like so obviously like I'm not throwing shade at this woman who obviously must be formidable to be able to like deliver a statement in any capacity. Like really creme de la creme of all human beings on earth. Like for that person to have attacked you and now for you to not be able to interact. Because I thought it like I also noticed when I was talking about like women in spy movies, like you noticed that I was talking about women in spy movies and you were like, oh, is that the metric that you use? Like for you to even notice that is really interesting and shows that you have this consciousness around gender issues that like can sometimes come from a really good place, but evidently in the story has come from like a place of a bit of pain because you've been treated badly when you were probably just trying to do your best.
Mm-hmm.
Does any of that make sense? Did I just talk?
No, it makes a lot of sense. Well, and yeah, so that's why, yeah, like I have some. That is one of the like not so pleasant things that I've experienced, at least within the indigenous movement, and also I also feel like we all make mistakes, right? I think we learn stuff. Like yeah.
I fucked up in like my first week working at CUNO when I was in Geneva, and I really thought I was never going to come back from it. And then like now I think no one would even know what I was talking about, you know.
Oh, I had the same thing. Like I made a fuck up as well that I didn't think that I would recover from. That was like a year earlier. That was in 2014. And people still don't talk to me because of it.
Even though wow, no one ever remembers the things that I've done in that role. But
well, there's only a few people, by the way. Yeah, but
I think that you do more important stuff. So when you fuck up, like it's probably got a bigger impact. Like you're more in the public eye, right?
It was mostly because like I don't know. I think ego got the better hand of me back then.
I think I know the story though. Is it about like you accidentally didn't credit someone or something?
Oh, I credited myself where credit was undue. Like it was, I should not be crediting myself.
That is so. God, what an embarrassing mistake.
It is.
But you feel good about yourself, like you're crediting yourself because you're proud of yourself, and then some people are like, "No."
Yeah, like
and 6 years later, we're still pissed off with you about it. I feel like that's on them. That like so much of a personality changes in half a decade. Like that's on those people that they're still pissed with you.
Well, it keeps me on, like keeps me the experience of that and of those issues keeps me very very aware and like humbled in a way. Like in a way, no, it keeps me humbled as in I think about like the next 2-3 steps before I do something.
Yeah, but like you can still have maintained the lessons of that experience without people still being furious with you. You know, like years before I met you, I had this experience where I was so hurt and so angry at these people, and it took me 2 years to recover. And even then, like by the time I'd recovered was still years before I had met you. Sorry, my phone's ringing. How important is it? Oh, it's very important, but not important enough to interrupt this chat. I could answer it. It's my boyfriend. But
we can round this up if you want.
I'll send him a link to this, and then he can like watch me talking to you.
Anyway, talking about.
So there's like he would know the story that I'm talking about as well. Like these people that like it was definitely formative being that hurt by people that I loved and trusted, and then being afraid of them and being angry at them, and then and now I just kind of love them again because I loved them once, and then they like really hurt me. But I was obviously a main player in that awful conflict, right? Like very, very rarely is it just like someone's coming along and being like, no, I'm going to make you have a shit life for no reason. So then when you recover a little bit, you like come to love the people that make you a better person and make you a more resilient person. If you can, if they haven't like cut off your limbs, I think like draw a line at some point. I'm really talking about like white British woman harm versus like Sri Lankan land activists harm, where like if someone comes to hurt you, it's really different.
No, but yeah, like what you're talking about, like it also happens like within the indigenous movement. Like it is when we're also human, you know, like we're peoples, you know, like it is. What happens to like white indigenous women also happens to like white women is also like happens to like indigenous women.
Oh yeah, like interpersonal conflict happens everywhere. And when you were talking earlier about like how you would always have like two other people helping you process information negotiations, I think a really good example of a leader, it's not like a charismatic leader. I'm getting a phone call from one of the activists I'm working with, so we have to wrap up right now.
Yeah, no, sure.
But
No, that's okay.
I don't even know how to leave. But cheers so much for this. I'll call you back another time. Bye.
Well, sure. Bye.